my beautiful friends out there in YouTube land. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being a part of my channel community. I really appreciate having you here with me. Today we are going to make this beautiful sweater. I am so thrilled with this sweater. I just love how it turned out. I'll show you here. It's got stripes in the back as well. And I am gonna wear this sweater so much that my friends are gonna say, Shelley, go home and change before we go out, because it is that comfortable. Like, I'm using Caron Latte Cakes, which, you know, if you follow my channel, is my favorite yarn, in the color ivory, and then this stripe is blueberry. Now I intentionally make the blueberry the same shade throughout the sweater, and I'll show you what I do there in the video, just for consistency, because that's what I like. And you're gonna need 2 cakes of ivory and 1 of the blueberry if you're following along with what I'm doing here. And you can make this beautiful sweater. It measures from the top here down to here. When I lay it on a table and I don't stretch it out, it's 23 inches. When I lay it on a table and I don't stretch it out, I measure across, it's 24 inches. So that's 48 inches all the way around. But you can see that with this yarn, like it's loose and big and beautiful. I just love it. Can't tell you about it how much I love this sweater, because it is so comfortable. And I measure from here. You unroll the sleeve. It's from here to here is 18 inches. Okay, but I did that purposely because I wanted to have a big full-over ribbed cuff, because I just love how that looks. Okay, so you will be able to do some adjustments for how you would like yours to be when you make your sweater. But this is a one size fits most because of the type of yarn it is and the stretch that it has. I hope you enjoy making it. I use my 48 needle Sentro for the body, and I use my 46 needle Addi for the arms, for the sleeves. But if you just have one of those machines, just use it for the full project and it'll be absolutely beautiful. You can wear it with a necklace and dress pants and dress it up. Don't get it caught on your earring. Or you can just take that off, just throw it over and be super casual. And put a pair of sweatpants on, your jeans, your favorite jeans, and just go out and about and enjoy. So I really think you're gonna love this sweater. Make sure that you keep watching my channel, because I have plans for this sweater. This is like the basic sweater, but I'm gonna now take this sweater and I'm going to add to it, and that'll be in another tutorial. So I'm not sure when I'm gonna get that out, so you're gonna have to hit that notification bell and be watching, but I'm going to give you another option to do with this sweater when you get it to this point. So be watching my channel for that. All right, so grab your supplies and let's get started on this beautiful sweater. I hope you enjoy the process. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Come on over and join us in my Facebook group. We have like just an amazing group of people over there, and very encouraging, very positive group. You're gonna love it. So if you're not a part of it, come on over. We'd love to have you there. All right, so let's get started on your beautiful sweater. I can't wait to see. Can't wait to see what's you. Please be sure to show me. All right, friends, have fun. All right, friends, I am ready to begin, and I have my 48 needle Sentro and my Caron Latte Cakes yarn in the color cream. I am going to continue keeping my machine's going to stay in circular mode. I'm not going to put it into panel mode because I don't need to. Here's what I've done instead. This is always marked with a permanent black marker. It's between the last pink and the first white. I always like to have this white one as my first needle when I'm knitting on my Sentros. So I don't even go by these numbers that are there. I always know that this white one is the first needle for me. So I take a black permanent marker and I mark that divider between the last pink and the first black. Now you're going to want to count 1, 2, 3. And I took a red permanent marker. You can use black if you like to, but eventually this one's going to wear off and then I don't even need it there. But just for the sake of this pattern, because I need to have these 3 here for my turning pegs. My turning needles, we're not going to knit those 3, but we're going to knit the rest of them, which is 45 needles. So mark that one and mark that one. I'm going to bring my first white needle in line with my yarn feeder. We're going to take our yarn, we're going to do a long tail cast on. So I'm actually going to hold this in my hand and I'm going to go to my shoulder. 1, 2, 3, and 4 times, and that is enough. We're going to take that yarn. Okay, so here's the end going this direction. This is the one that I just measured out. This one here goes towards the cake. All right, the ball. And so we're going to take this yarn and we're going to yarn over and we're going to make a slip knot. And we're going to put that slip knot onto our first needle, just like that. Again, this is our tail that we measured out. That's very important because, oops, I'm going to put this on this other way so that my tail is naturally here. Okay. To do the long tail cast on, we are going to make sure, now we're getting all snugged up in there. Make sure that our tail that we measured is the one that's on our thumb all the time. It's the one that's closest to us. I'm going to take that yarn, I'm going to put it between or on top of my 3 fingers like that, and I'm going to just hold them together. This one closest to me is the one we measured out. I'm going to put my index finger and my thumb into there. And I'm going to spread it out. It looks like a triangle. All right. I'm going to rotate my barrel so that this next needle comes up. From this point, I'm going to just tip my wrist up. And you see we've got 1, 2, 3 strands. I'm going to go under strand 1, over strand 2, over strand 3, but grab strand 3 and bring it between 1 and 2. Then I can just pull on this yarn tail that's closest to me to snug that up and slip that onto my needle. Don't make it too tight because we're going to tighten our edge when we have our whole piece off the machine. We're going to take it and we're going to tighten that edge. So these don't need to be really tight at this point. We're going to rotate our handle till we have the next needle up. This one is the one we measured. Hold them in your fingers. Pinch them closed, go in between those 2 strands. This is the one we measured. And we're going to tip our hand up. This becomes 1, 2, and 3. Go under number 1, over the second one, over the third one, grab the third one and bring it between those first and second strands. Pop it on your needle and just pull your thumb and your finger apart and it'll tighten it enough. You still got a loose loop in there, but it's good. Move the next one up. This is the one we measured. Spread it apart, flip your hand, go under 1, over 2, over 3, grab 3 and bring it through the loop. Then if you just pull that tail that's closest to your body, you can tighten this up a little bit and slip it over the needle. That's all you do for the long tail cast on. It's really quite simple as I slip that one off my fingers, but it is really quite simple. And you put it on there. Tighten it a little bit if you have to. Go to the next one, pop it on. We're going to do this all the way around. Not needing to count this row. This is just our cast on. Now, however position you want this needle to be in, you can do it on this side of the yarn guide. I find it's a little too low and this gets in my way. You can do it in front of the yarn feeder. Find your groove. Or you can do it on the other side of the yarn feeder here. Just like that. For some reason, I like it almost in front of the yarn feeder. It's just more comfortable for me. Then you slip it over. Again, this one is the one that we measured. It's closest to me. I'm going to hold them in my 3 fingers, pinch it closed, go in with my index finger. This is the one that's closest to me. This is the one we measured. I'm going to spread that apart, tip my hand, go under 1, over 2, over 3, pull that loop through. Oops, and I forgot to advance. And there we go. You can advance even for 2. See, I have 2 of them up here now, so I can go like this and pop that on there and like this. So whatever, you find your groove, whatever works good for you, and you will get it. Pop that on there. Again, I'm not tightening it too tight, just making it nice and loose on my needle. Not too loose either though, you'll get your groove. And we're going to go around and we're going to cast on to all of our needles. Don't watch this part of the video and then say, I can't do that, I'm going to not make this sweater. You can do it. I promise you, you can do it. But you just got to make sure that the tail that you measured is the one that's closest to your body. or it's going to make it very difficult to tighten it at the end. Okay, because that's the string we're going to tighten, and I'll show you exactly how to do that. So I'm going to continue around until I get just to the right of that red divider. I have 3 needles that I'm not going to knit, that I'm not going to cast onto. Okay, so keep going around, and I'll see you when you get to the end. Coming up on the last one, I'm going to cast on, and then I'm going to take that yarn tail and I'm going to trim it off. You always want to start with a longer one than you need. That's all I cut off, because you don't want to get almost all the way around and then run out of yarn. Okay, because then you have to start over. I'm going to pop this underneath that divider and into the yarn feeder, just like that. Now I'm going to set my row counter to 0. I have this one that I have attached to my machine. I'll link it down in the description box below. I forget what it's called right now, where it's from, but I'll link it down in the description box below. I have them on 2 of the 3 of my Sentros, and I've been needing to get one for my mushroom for a long time and just haven't done it yet, but I need to do that. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be very careful with this first row. It's underneath that divider. You want to put a little bit of tension on it, and you're going to go back the other way. So that picks it up. You're going to help that loop on this next needle down if you need to over those pink teeth. This first row is a little tricky because it's loose. So I'm actually going to put my yarn into my tensioner into two loops. I'm going to put it in that front one, and then underneath and up through the middle one, just because I'm going to use my fingers here to, oops, Shelley weeb went the wrong way. Trust me, you can do this. And we're going to just help those loops down. This yarn, our machines love it. So it's just for this first row that we're having to help those loops down over the 2 little pink teeth, just like so. And you will see, keep watching me, because you're going to see how beautifully this yarn works in this machine. I'm going all the way to the end, helping those loops down over the pink teeth. And I see my black divider. I know I have one more left. There we go. I'm going to just keep it in that tightest tension, and I'm going to hold it underneath with my hands, and we're going to, or with my fingers, we're going to go past this needle until it goes underneath that divider. See how it went underneath? Now I can go back the other way. Don't continue going. As soon as it goes underneath, now you'll go back the other way. And I'm going to put a little bit of tension on it as the first needle picks it up, watching to make sure that that loop goes down over the pink teeth. And here on and so forth, it will, this is my 4th panel, guys, that I'm doing. For you, it's the first one, but for me, it's the 4th one. And I know that this yarn works beautifully in my machine. So once it gets past this red one, for that divider, here's the last needle that we knit. It's past this one and goes underneath. Then we go back the other direction. And we're going to go for 25 rows. It went underneath the divider. Now I do have a video under the techniques playlist on my channel where I show you in slower detail how to do a flat panel in circular mode and in panel mode. So you might want to have a look at that, because I'm just going to just quickly do it here, because this isn't really a teaching video on how to make flat panel. It's on how to make a garment. So once I get past that last needle and underneath the divider, I turn it and I go back the other way. And it's under the divider. I can turn and go the other way. See how beautifully this works? I don't even have to worry about it. Under the divider, put a little bit of tension just on the first needle and go the other way. It's really that easy. Here's my last needle coming up in this row. So go till it goes under that divider. I'm putting a little bit of extra tension. And of course, you're always watching at the same time to make sure that loop goes down over those 2 pink teeth. And you're going to go back the other way. And you're going to do this for 25 rows. And because my counter is in the middle of the row, it counts every row. When you knit in flat panels in panel mode, it only counts every second row. So that's why if you follow my techniques, go to my techniques playlist and watch my video on how to do a flat panel. I'll show you why. When I'm using my Addi in particular, I put the black needles as the center needles of my needle count on a panel. That way every row counts going both directions, and I leave it in circular mode. I love this Sentro machine for making panels with latte cakes. It just is so smooth, so quiet, so beautiful. I'll see you back when I get 25 rows. I just finished 25 rows. It's looking great. We're going to leave this yarn in because we're going to do our ribbing now. Let your counter stay the way it is. It's going to keep counting because we're going to continue on with this color for several more rows, but we want it to count this next row as we rib as one straight row, and you'll see. So what we're going to do is we're going to rib these 25. Let me just explain that again. We're going to rib these 25, and then from there we're going to knit 15 straight rows of this color, except for this first row that we go along as we our ribbing counts as one of those 15. So we're going to keep our counter active and advancing the way it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to take that yarn out of the yarn feeder. It's easier to do it this way. We're going to knit that first needle. You could have taken it out after you knitted the first one, but here we go. We're going to knit that first needle, just like that. And then this one stays up. I'm going to put this yarn tail in between those two teeth because it keeps that loop from jumping off as we're working. And then I twist it around my tensioner down there, and it holds that in place. So now we can work with this one. I'm going to advance it just a little bit more. You're going to need a loom pick. We're going to take that stitch off, and the first one that we do is the hardest because it's so close to the edge here, and the last one that we do is difficult, not difficult, but more challenging than the rest. So persevere through this one. But what we're going to do is we're going to drop that, and we're going to let it unravel. One, and we're going to unpick 25 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. When you get close to the bottom, you're going to want to be pinching with your finger and your thumb because you need to pinch that loop that's under the 25th one that you've picked. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. I'm going to hold that loop with my finger there. Then you're going to take your crochet hook. You're going to pop it in from top to the bottom, going from up, down, so that your hook goes down. You're going to grab that first bar, and you're going to bring it through that loop. Grab the second one, bring it through the loop. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, these are becoming pearls now, 8, 9, 10, don't miss a bar, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and when you get to the last one, it's important to have them underneath, or not underneath these two dividers, because that will make it tight. So lift them out from underneath those two dividers and you'll be able to work it better. And then put them back under the divider. So both of these sides are under the divider. This one's being held down by that. Both of these edges are underneath the dividers, and then you can easily lift that up and over the needle with no trouble. Then you place it over the 2 red teeth. You untie your yarn. You go underneath that divider. You back up just a little bit so you can get the yarn underneath that row you just worked. We're going to knit that one, and then we're going to knit the next one. And then in between those 2 loops, wrap it around your yarn tensioner. This is the one we are now working. I'm going to take it off. We're going to work it down 25 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I want to make sure I'm in the camera, so I'm going to go up here. 19, 20, 21, 22, getting ready to hold that little loop. 23, 24, and 25. And if you lose count, just go back up and count your bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So with my thumb holding that and finger holding that loop, there it is. We're going to pop our crochet hook into it, going down, grab that first bar, work it into the loop. That's 1. Take the next ladder, 2, and the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. I wish I would have moved my counter over a little bit farther because now it's in my way a little bit. Take this from underneath those 2 bars, and then it gives it some slack to work it. Now put both sides underneath the bar before you lift up and pull over. Just like that. Undo your yarn tail, under the bar, back up just a little bit to get underneath that needle. Knit that row, and then knit the next one. And repeat your process all the way to the end. All right, so I'm going to take my loom pick, bring that off. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25, holding that loop under the 25th bar with my finger. Pop my hook in there, pick up that first bar and work it. Oops. With this fuzzy yarn, it can be a little bit tricky. There we go. And work all the way up, making sure you pick up those bars in the order that they come. Don't get them crossed. Now I'm doing a very wide ribbed bottom there, but I love that. It's just like when I make a beanie, I love a wide brim. I like a wide ribbing. So of course you don't have to go this far. Well, if you followed me to this point, you're going to go this far. But in the next sweater that you make, if you want to do less, edging here that's not quite so thick, you can go ahead and make it your own. Do it less if you like. There we go. I'm going to attach that. I'm going to unwind this under the divider, back up just a little bit, knit that needle of the row that we just did, and then knit the next one and continue around. I'm going to keep doing that till I get to the end, and I'll meet you back. All right? Enjoy the process. Have fun. All right, so I'm on the last ones. Here's the last needle, but the second last one is the one I'm doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's a little tricky. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. There we go. I'd usually have this stretched out like this, but I want to make sure it's in the camera for you. Into that loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 24 and 25. And there we go. We've got that hooked up. I'm going to just finish these last two needles, 1 and 2. I'm going to pop that into that, underneath that divider and into the yarn feeder. And then I'm going to show you something. My counter says 27, and I know I've just finished row 26, and it's because when I'm going back and forth, I do a needle and I back up a little bit and do the, then knit it again. My magnet touches my machine, my counter here, and it advances it 1. So you should be on row, having finished row 26. I'm going to cancel that out. I'm going to take a magnet. I have these magnet clasps that you've seen me use on my channel. I'm just going to take that magnet. I'm going to rub it across. Oops. I'm just going to slide it across the top here until I get to 26. There we go. So now my counter is correct. So there's always a way to fix things if you need to fix them. And oh, look what I found. Chocolate Easter egg. I was nibbling on a package as I was doing this, and I thought I had finished them, but now I have a nice, anyways, bunny trail. I am going to continue. So we have 26 rows done. We want to have 15 straight knit rows now. Number 1 was the one that we did when we were ribbing. So we're going to go back and forth another 14 rows to take us to row 40 on our counter. The hardest part of this panel is now done. So I'm going to go until my counter has completed 40 rows. So that's 15 rows like this after the ribbing. The first row was counted while we were doing the ribbing, and then 14 more. We'll take us to row 40 on our counter, and then I'll meet you back. Coming up to the end of row 40, I'm going to just let that needle sink down, pop that underneath the divider, and then we are going to cut our yarn tail, bring that in there. Actually, we're going to back it up just a little bit and just let it fall like that. We're going to grab our second color. I am using Caron Latte Cakes in the color Blueberry, but what I do, let me just show you here, is I separate all the colors. Pop that in there. Maybe it's easier for you to see or me to hold. I separate all the colors because I want my stripes to all be the same color. I don't know if you can see that, or if the one that fell is the other color, but there are 4 different shades in there, and in the camera you might not be able to pick up on them. This is the lightest one. I just use my yarn ball winder and I separate them so that I can get the colors that I want. I don't want my stripes to all be different colors on different panels. So you should have enough of this one color to do all 4 panels, because I'm going to do my sleeves solid. But if you don't, then you might have to buy a second. It all depends. Like on this one here, this is the second one that I have. There was a big chunk of the light and then a bigger chunk. Like sometimes it's not evenly distributed in all the cakes. You might need to have 2 if you want to be picky like what I am. Otherwise, you can alternate a light, dark, light, light or dark, whatever you like. I'll let you choose that. But I separate my ball and I'm using only the lightest color for my stripes. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pop that into our smallest tensioner. I'm going to bring that around and get it ready to knit. We're going to go back the other way. I always hold that against the divider on both sides when I change my color, because then it gives a little bit of a tension there. And then we're going to go back, and it mimics how you normally will do it. There we go. Then I can let it drop. And we're going to go back. This is row 41. 42. We're going to do 5 rows. 43. 44. And 45. There we go. Under the divider it goes, and we're ready to change colors. I'm going to cut that blue, take back out, drop it, grab my ivory. We're going to place it into the machine. Make sure it's set up on this side of the divider. And we're going to go the other way. Let that drop. We're going to do 15 rows. So we're going to go till we have row 60 done. And when row 60 is completed, we're going to, let me just stop here for 1 second. There we go. We're going to do 15 rows of this main color, and that'll take us to row 60. And then we're going to switch colors. So we're going to do 5 rows of the light blue. That will take us to row 65. And then we're going to keep switching, going back and forth. 15 rows of our main color, 5 rows of our blue, until we get to rows 120. When I'm beginning my last 15 rows of ivory, I'll come back on and see you. Actually, once this starts to touch the table, I'll come back and I'll show you we can't roll it into a donut because it's a flat panel and it's not full circle. So I'll show you what I do to keep it off the table and tell you the reasons why, but I need to do a little bit more. Once it touches the table, I'll be back with you. I'll see you in the next screen. But you're going to do 15 rows of your main color, then 5 rows of your second color, 15 of your main, 5 of your second, until we get to row 120. Just thought I'd pop on one more time before I show you how I finish that. So I'm on row 60. So I just finished 15 rows of my ivory. I'm going to cut that, pop it into the center. I'm going to just do one more color change for those of you who would benefit from it. I'm going to grab my second color, which is my light blue. We're going to pop it into our yarn feeder. I'm going to just hold it down there so I can turn and go the other way. We're going to knit 5 rows of this second color, taking us to row 65, and then I'm going to show you what I do with how I anchor my piece and the reasons why. Okay, 3. And 64. And 65. I'm going to make sure it goes under that divider. There we go. And I'm ready to cut this off. We'll change colors in a minute, but when it starts to touch the table, if you don't take care of it, it will start to buckle up like this, and then it loosens your tension on the inside of your barrel here. And you don't want to drop one of these little loops off these pink tees. So you want to make sure that it stays firm. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to pick it up. And then I just fold it over like that. I don't know if you can see it over there, so I'm going to do it over here. I fold it over, then I grab some of the piece up here. I take a clip and I clip it. I fold it over. I grab some of the work, just like that, and I clip it. And I keep doing that as I go around. Pick it up, 3 of them is enough, and I clip it. Just like that. And then I just can keep doing that as it gets longer and longer and longer, and it keeps my tension nice on the inside of my barrel. It helps my stitches to fall down over those needles and onto the teeth a little bit easier. So I'm going to go back, grab my ivory. I'm going to do one more color change with you. If I can find the end here. There we go. And we are on row 65 now. We finished row 65, so we're going to do up to row 80. We're going to do 15 rows of this color. So I'm going to go back and forth. I'm going to do 15 rows. Then I'm going to switch back to my light blue, and I'm going to do 5. Then I'm going to switch back, 15 and 5, 15 and 5, 15 and 5 until I get to 120. And we will end on our ivory color. 15 rows of ivory, and I'll see you when we get close to that. I am on the last row, 120. And there we go, under the divider it goes. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut off your yarn. into the center and you're going to grab some waste yarn. We need a color of yarn that's contrasting to our working yarn so that we can see our stitches when we have it off of our machine. So I'm going to choose this purple color. It's going to come off after we are finished making our edge the way we want it to be. Sorry, I had to think about what I was going to say there. I'm getting hungry. Ordered Chinese food and that's on my mind. And we are going to go back as though we have done a color change. Same thing, but with our waste yarn. And we are going to do 7 rows. That's typically what I do. Now, if you have a number that you are comfortable doing, maybe you do 5, maybe you do 10. You do whatever you're comfortable with. And then we're going to do the drawstring cast off just to hold those stitches. Okay, so I think this is 4. Oh, of course that one tucked, but that's okay. It's tucked. There we go. 5. It's a thicker yarn, so you can see my machine is fighting it a little bit. Still works well, but it's not as nice as the latte cakes. 6 and 1 more. All right, so now you're going to cut a tail that's long enough to go the length of your panel. You're going to put that on a needle. We're going to take it out of our yarn feed. And once that needle drops down, you can take off your stitch. Once it drops down, take off your stitch and take off your stitch. Pull that out to the side there. You can release several needles at once if you want. So all 3 of these are loose and ready to come off. But then you want to be careful. Here, I'm doing it left-handed for you. You want to be careful that you don't drop them. So if I was to release several there, if I take this off and I lift up too high, I'm going to pop that one off the teeth. And so you just want to be very careful. So if you're going to release them more than one at a time, pull them out the side here instead of up. Another thing that you can do, of course I got to get past this little magnet here so you can see, is you can put your finger over the next one as you take off the previous one, and that will ensure that your loops don't fall off the teeth as well. Or just go one at a time, because this needle is holding that one. But maybe you're much better at your left hand than me. I usually stand up and do this, but I'm sitting this time and it's a little awkward. So anyways, you're going to remove all your stitches. And pull out until every one of them is removed from your machine. And this line that we're putting through is holding these loops so that it doesn't drop our row. If we were to just take this off and not put this line in, then our rows start to unravel, and we need to hold them tight so that we can sew up the side and do the work that we need to do. All right, so let's continue until you have all your stitches off the machine, and then I'll see you back. I'm going to switch to my right hand. See, I'm much better that way. And this last one right here. Pull it through, and I'll meet you right back. All right, so we have it off the machine and it's beautiful. We're going to stretch it widthwise and lengthwise. You're going to set that aside for now, and you're going to make 3 more really, after you do the first one, they don't take that long. You can get them done in no time. There's my second one. This is the one I blocked already. I'm going to show you that in a second. And here is my fourth one. So they're going to naturally curl in like this. But I found a way to block that. I saw it online and I think that it's absolutely brilliant. It takes way faster than pinning and wetting. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your piece, you're going to put it on your ironing board. So let's pretend this is my ironing board. I put that on my ironing board. You have to use a steam iron though. I have a steam iron. If you have a steam, just a straight steamer, that's even better. But what I did is I took a flannelette pillowcase, literally. You can take a cotton one too, whatever you have. And then I just folded that out with my hands, just like this, till it was flat. So if you have the wrong side facing, you can get this flatter. And then once that was flat, like this, I took my steam iron and I gave it a good steam across. And then I went down, put my hand under there. I folded it out, put the cloth over top. And the reason why I said flannel is because it's thicker. And then I steamed that edge. And then I went down and I did it all along the entire edge. And this is what I got in absolutely no time at all. A beautiful, beautiful blocked piece. It's beautiful. The edges are perfect. I'm going to be able to seam with it very, very easily. And that's all I did. It took me like no time at all. So I'm going to go do that to the other three pieces. And then we're going to do some assembly work before we work on the sleeves. All right. So go ahead and block your work. And then the next thing that we're going to do actually is we're going to fix our edge here so that it's not so loose. All right, so I have them all blocked. If you hear a little fuzziness in the background, it's because I have my floor heater going and you'll hear a little bit of a hum from that. I hope you don't hear it, but if you do, that's what it is. All right, so I have fixed the bottom of 3 of them already, and it's gonna look like this when we're done. So it's a little bit tighter. You can see how loopy this one is. We're gonna get it to look like this, and it's not hard, but you have to be careful. Grab yourself a little needle for just picking if you need to. Now, here's where our tail is. We're going to go to the other side. And we're going to just roll that up like that. And we're going to find that first big loop. Now, these loops are going like this. So when you're pulling, it's a weird pull because you're going to kind of, well, you'll get it once we get going here, but there's not much slack in that first one. But then I'm going to take the second one. It comes around like that. And when I take that second one, I'm going to pull up and come this way, but it's pulling. I don't know if I can explain it. So anyways, once I get a bigger loop, then I think I can explain it easier. And you're also going to have maybe a hard time seeing it with this yarn, but you're going to pull up on that. And then I'm going to find at the base of this yarn tail, you'll see this little stitch right here, this little bar that's kind of at a very slight slant, almost straight. You're going to take it and you're pulling this way, but you're also pulling this way. So to pull on this, it's tightening the one before. Then I'm going to take this next bar and I'm pulling this way. So it's coming this way, but it's also pulling it that way. Then I'm going to go, look at that. And here's where the yarn tail is. If you go right underneath there, you'll find that next loop. And you're going to just pull it that way. It's kind of a circle pull, so that's what I'm trying to explain. You are pulling to the right, but it's going to the left before it comes to the right, just by the sake of the way it's being pulled. And I'm going to pull that, and you got to go slow because if you get a knot in this, then you have to cut it and tie it off. So I can see this loop here is coming around here, and that was my cast on. So I've got to pull it that way and this way. So that's what I mean. That's how it's kind of going. So here's the next one. By pulling it that way and this way, you're able to tighten it. And look how much slack we're getting out of there. But I would naturally think that's the next one, but that's the loop that's going to come next to be tightened. But you got to go to this little flat bar that's right here and pull that one So you're actually pulling this way and that way. And then this flat bar here, so this is the loop that we are going to get to. This flat bar here is the one you need to pull. And there you go. Don't yank on it until you know it's the right one that you're pulling. See, because by pulling on that, it's pulling that so that I know it's the right one. Because trust me, as easy as this looks, just as quickly you can get a knot. See right here, I've got to find that bar because it looks like this is the one. And no, I know it's not. It looks like that's the one. It's hiding down here just because it got a little bit tighter. So if you just pull on it a little bit to make sure it's pulling on that strand, then you know you've got the right one. Again, because if you pull on the wrong one, you're going to mess up your work. So take your time and you pull it until it looks nice and beautiful like that. So sometimes it's hard to find. I know this big loop is not the one, so here's the big loop. It's that little bar that's right above that loop. And that's another way to find it. And there we go. Here's the big loop. Here's the little bar that's right above it. And if I pull that, nope, it's not pulling on this. That's the wrong one. It's this one. And then you can work that. And that one, you'll know right away when you lift up on it, if it's pulling on this strand, you know you have the right one. If it's not, then let it go and look for the right one. And we're going to pull that. So if I push that big loop down, it's generally that one that's right above it. So pushing this big loop down, it's this one right here. Here's another one, but it's this one. And you're going to evenly tension all the way down. Once you see it, you see it. Okay? And there we go. I'm going to do that until I get close to the end, and then I'll be back with you. I am close to the end here. Got a big long loop. Pull slowly because you don't want it to knot on itself and get all tangled. I think I should have one more before I can pull my tail. There we go. Now I'm going to give this one a try. Nope, I still have one more. Now that I've made it really tight, we're going to see if I can find it. See, you can mess it up very easily at the end here. Oops, I saw you. I saw you. There we go. I'm going to pinch it with my thumb here just so I don't get a knot. I'm going to pull that through. And then I can pull this one. There we go. See, we got a really long tail now, and we have a beautiful edging. It's still stretchy, but nice and neat. Go ahead, do that to the other three pieces. What we're going to do next is we're going to tie off our joins. So you're going to go to the side, and you're going to take your two strands, and you're going to just loosely tie them, or nicely tie them. Don't tie it too tight because you don't want to pucker it in there. Tie a knot, just like that. Go up to the next one. How come there's not two there? Oh, there it is, hiding under there. And you're going to tie it off. Again, you're not tightening it too tight. This one you can tie tighter. Then you're going to hide your ends. So I hide my ends in the like color. So for the ivory, I take this and I'm just going to bring it up the side here, picking up the loops. And then just making sure that I don't gather it in there. I'm just going to do it loosely. Bring it up. Then I'm going to come down a few stitches. Just in there. Pull it through. And cut it off. just like that. I'm going to do that with all the side strands that are there, and I'm going to hide them all. This blue one I'll hide into the blue and just go a little ways up and then down once and cut it off. I'm going to do that on all my pieces, hiding all my ends. You can leave the one that's up in the corner here just in case we need it for sewing, but leave just that one tail that we started our project with. Get all them tied off, and then I'll show you how you can easily remove waste yarn from a panel. Before we can remove the waste yarn, we have to take care of these loops that are here, because if I was to take the waste yarn off now before binding these together, then all my rows would unravel, of course, okay? So I'm going to use a 5mm crochet hook. I've got my yarn attached with a slip knot. If you have trouble finding the first stitch over here, because we want to have the right side facing so that our crochet stitch is on the right side, we're going to go to the other side, and you can start counting backwards from this loop and count 45 loops, and that will take you to this one here is 44. You think that that's the first one, but it's not. You have to go underneath this side piece right here if you're going to make sure that you don't lose anything. Put my hook in there. I'm going to yarn over and bring it through both loops, just like that. Then I'm going to go into that very next one, number 2, yarn over and bring it through that loop and through the loop on my hook. This is a slip stitch into the next one, and I am not moving this tightly. I'm going to go just loosely into that stitch and into the loop on my hook. This is attached to my ball, okay? I'm going to go underneath that next one, yarn it around my hook, comes through that loop, and then through the loop on your hook. You don't need to know how to crochet to do this, friends. You can do this. Go underneath, pick up that yarn, come through, and come through. Underneath the next one, and again, I'm not pulling tight, I'm just having this nice and it's flush, but it's loose. Like I'm not pulling this really tight. I'm just having a nice tension, and I'm going to go right across through both, under that loop, pick it up, go underneath that, and underneath the second one on your hook. We're going to continue this all the way down. And through, underneath, pick it up, go through and through, underneath, pick it up, go through and through. You're going to do that all the way down your row, and that's going to be a nice finish. Coming up to the end here. When you make sure that you have all 45 loops secured, that was my 45th one, then you're going to yarn that over again, and you're going to go through that last loop. You need to cut off a tail here and pull it through. Then you can take these two and you can tie a knot. We left that tail, remember? We can tie a knot and we will hide these ends. But let's take care of our waste yarn. You can't just unravel this first row and then have it ravel back and forth because of the way it turns, okay? So basically you have to waste it. Waste the waste yarn. I'm going to go down to the bottom here. I'm going to cut that first loop. You got to make sure that you're not cutting your main work, so be very, very careful. You're going to go to the other side. You might know a better way to do this. This is the only way I know how. And we're going to cut that. And pull that out. Then this piece here acts as a guide yarn. It's separate now. It's not attached to the rest, so I can take this and I can pull it just like this. It's going to want to bunch up my work, so I'm going to hold it with my hand. I pulled that off. Now voila, that comes off beautifully. Garbage it goes. And we have a beautiful finished edge, and our work is correctly done on the right side. So our stitches are showing on the right side. Go ahead, do that to all 4 pieces, and when you have that done, I'm going to block this again, just this top part here, and when you have that done, I'll see you back. All right, friends, so what we're going to do next is we're going to sew 2 pieces together. Now, here is where, full disclosure, making videos can sometimes be difficult. I already put 2 pieces together here, and I put 2 pieces together here, front and the back, and I thought I was recording, and I wasn't. So I'm going to show you what I did on the 2 loose sides here, and then I'll just take it out. So pretend that this is one panel here, and this is your second panel. You're gonna put them so that the right sides are facing. So you don't see that I have them sewn together already. Take 2 panels, line them up like this, so that you have the right sides up and the 2 edges together. Take a piece of yarn that is 1.5 times the length of your piece, and we're going to seam these together. Now we're going to do the mattress stitch, and we're not going to start right on this very first row here. We're going to go over to the next one. So find the row where the wide part of your V in your stitch is going to the left. And here's one right here. There's that along the seam there. Then this is the first visible row. I'm going to take the second one. I think that it makes for a nicer look, because if you use this one and then there's some knots in there from hiding your work, or there's, you know, it's just so close to the edge that sometimes you can't stay on the same side or on the same row. So I take it over, and I'm going to go not in this row right here, but in this one. If you want to choose to do this one and have less bulk at the back, which I'll show you in a minute, then you can go ahead and do that. But if you want to just trust me on this, I think it looks better at the front when you go over to one more. So I'm going to go up to here. I'm going to go into that very top stitch. It's right underneath my edging that I did. And I'm going to pick up 1 bar and 2 bar. Pull through. Leave a tail for sewing, but I'm going to tuck that underneath so it's not in my way. I'm going to go over to this other piece. And this is so nice because you can lay it flat on the table, which means you can see your rows really easily. And here is the row I'm going to go into here. Here's where the wide part of the V is going to the left. Here's that first row that I can see, but it's too close. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to start up in that same stitch, pick up 2, pull through. I'm going to go in where I came out right here, and I'm going to pick up 1 and 2. Sometimes when we're sewing tubes together, some of you have a hard time seeing your row, but when you can lay it flat on the table like this with a panel, it's very, very easy. Because here, this is where it's coming out. I'm going to go into there, pick up 1, 2, and pull through. I'm going to keep them loose here until I have a significant amount, and then we'll tighten it. Here's where I came out. I'm going to pick up 1, 2. And I'm going to pull that through. This is 2 single panels that you're sewing together. I'm going to pick up this one and take 2. I'm going to work it down to my color change. And then I'm going to show you what I do differently on my color change that I haven't done on my blankets before, on my tubes. But I'm going to maybe start doing something similar, and I'll show you in 1 second here. We're going to get down there, picking up 2 bars, going in where we came out, picking up 2. You see how easy it is to see the row? You'll get this done, no problem. And pick up 2. That gets me to the top of my blue. If I go in here, gets me to the top of the blue. Now, if you started 1 down and you got out here, you only had 1 left to get you to the top of the blue, then you just take the 1. But we have 2. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this tail here and this one, and I'm going to pull. And you see how that brought that together beautifully? Now what I'm going to do differently than what I've done in the past, here's the row I'm following. I'm going to pick up that first leg of the blue, the new color, and I'm going to go over to this side, and I'm going to pick up just 1 leg there too. I'm going to go through. Before I pull it tight, keep your eye on that row where you are. Then you're going to pull it tight, and that will keep our line even. Here's where I came out because I kept an eye on where that row is. And I'm going to pick up 2. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to pick up 2. I'm going to come down. I'm going to pick up 2. That takes me to the end of my color change. Give that a little twist and I can see it right here. Pick up 2. I'm going to pull that tight. See how straight across that is? Then I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I'm going to find the row that I'm working on. It's a little tricky at this for this part, but you're going to go ahead and you're going to pick up that 1 bar of the blue and the 1 bar of the blue that's on the other side. And what it's doing is it's just joining it like that. It's just looping it. And now it's completely straight, and I'm going to finish going all the way down. So now you're going to just bring this out so you can find where your row is, where wide parts of your V are here, and here where it's, see how it's curving in there? I know this is where I was. So I'm going to go in there and I'm going to pick up 2. It's just tricky when you tighten it and then have to find your row. Here's where it is. I'm going to pick up 2. And then I can just straighten this out. I can go in, pick up 2, and pick up 2 until I get to my next color change, or you can go part way, and however, you just do a number of stitches, then you pinch where you last left off and pull, and that will straighten it. You don't want to pull this so tight that you gather in here. You want to have it just nice and straight, just like that. And again, you're going to make a little loop on every color change section, continue down. All right, when you get to the end of your knitting to your stockinette and you're going to start on your ribbing, you're going to do the same thing. So if I'm following this row here, I'm going to come in. Let's pretend this is all done. And I'm going to come in. I'm not going to join like my color change. I'm just going to continue on down. And if you spread this out, you can see where the row is. Pick up 2. Go in where I came out. Pick up 2. So I'm going to go in, pick up 2. Go in, pick up 2. And tighten it just like I naturally would. Then once we get it to the end here, we're going to just make a knot, cut it off, and hide our ends. Very, very easy. And then we'll hide our ends up at the top here as well. So put 2 panels together, sew them together like that, and then take your next 2 and sew those 2 together, and you'll have 2 larger pieces. Have fun, friends, and I'll see you when you get them both put together, both halves put together. Here we go. We have our 2 panels together. I have 2 of these, two halves, the front and the back, and I just want to show you what the seam looks like. So it's nice and smooth and soft. Like there's a bit of a ridge there, but that's the inside of the sweater. You're not going to see it, but the outside turned out beautifully. Looks absolutely wonderful. I love it. Here's the other one. So we have 2. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take those 2. We're going to put our right sides together. There we go. So our right sides are together. This is the wrong side, and that's the wrong side. This is the top, and I measured my neck. I took a tape measure, and I went around my neck to see how many inches it was, and it was 16. So I thought I need to have this at least 16 inches, of course, but I did from the center here to the center here, 6 inches. From here to here, 6 inches. So that's 12 inches. Then when it's open, because I want to hold the center there, so when I'm sewing, I'm not off center. When this is out of there and it's all stitched up, I have a 24-inch neck opening, which is great. If you want to have a wider neck so that's farther open onto your shoulders, you can go as far as you want. Maybe find your favorite shirt and measure it. But for me, this is 12 inches across on this side, and of course then it'll be 12 inches on that side, and that's how I'm going to make it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some yarn onto my needle, and we're going to sew our shoulder seams from the end to the stitch marker. So popping that on there, I'm going to pick up the edge and the edge, pull through. Oh, I could make a knot here just to secure. We're going to hide that end anyways. Just tuck it to get it out of the way, but we'll eventually hide that into the seam. All right, we're going to sew to this stitch marker. Now you might be asking why I just didn't do one long tube and then join them and leave an opening. And my answer to that is because I like to see a seam at the shoulder. I didn't want just to have a long tube that draped over my shoulder. I want to see the seam. So I'm going to just sew it up. Oh, I caught that, that's why. Okay, let's get you out of there. Tuck you back down there. I'm going to sew it up across the top, going into that slip stitch that we did and into the slip stitch up on the other half, and we're going to pull through. That tail does not want to stay put. And then we're going to bring it over. We're going to go under the next slip stitch and the next slip stitch, and we're going to pull through and pull. Bring it over and under the next slip stitch, and we're going to do that right across until we get to the stitch marker. Making sure you stop every once in a while and make sure it's smoothed out and in a nice position before you continue on. And then we're going to pick up. Once I get to my stitch marker, I'm going to make a knot. I'm going to cut off my yarn tail long enough so that I can hide it into that seam. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the same thing on this side from the corner here to this stitch marker. Okay, friends, we have it together. So here's my neckline. Here's my shoulders. What I did is, let me just put this down here, is I put this on and I determined where this dropped, how far it came down on my arm. And then from that dropped point, I measured to where I wanted it on my arm. So to come down to about there. And from this point, having put it on, from this point down to where I want it, the length to end on my arm, measured 16 inches for me. So I am going to now make my my tubes 16 inches long. But the thing is I want to have my cuff the same width, but I want to have the option of folding it up. So when it's folded up, it has to be 16 inches long at the fold. So in order to get 16 inches long, with it being folded, I'm just going to fold it up. I'm just going to do rough calculations. We're going to add that to the bottom of that fold, and then we're going to measure where 16 is. So it's about there. Then I'm going to undo that cuff, and I'm going to count how many rows that is. So we have 25 plus 15, that's 40. 45 plus 15 is 60. Plus 5 is 65. Plus 15 is 80. Plus 5 is 85. And we'll say 5 more here. So that's 90. I'm going to make my sleeves 90 rows in height, okay? And I'm going to grab my 46 or my 48 needle machine. Actually, I'm going to use my 46 needle machine for this part, but if you have the 48 needle center, you can go ahead. I just want those 2 stitches narrower. If you don't have it, again, just use your 48 needle center and it's absolutely fine. And I'm going to make a tube, and I'm going to do the drawstring cast on and do 25 rows of my ribbing, and then I'm going to knit the rest up to row 90, which is 65 more rows in just straight stockinette stitch, just like this, just in your regular knitting. Okay, so I will get that prepared and see you back in just a second. I have 2 more. I'm going to set my row counter to 0. And there I have all of my needles cast onto. I'm going to put my yarn tail between the last white and the first black, and we're going to slowly knit the first row. So again, we're knitting in the round. And you might have to help those loops down over the 2 little red teeth. Like that one. And that one. And that one. I'm going to give that a little snug up after I do a few stitches, because I don't have my tensioner in. So I'm going to do 3 or 4 stitches or 5, then I'm going to pull on this and I'm snugging up my tension there. Same thing as if I would have had a tensioner there. And there we go. Give that a pull. And we have finished 1 round. Now my Addi likes this yarn just as much as my Sentro does. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to knit 25 rows. When I get 25 rows done, I'm going to keep my counter going. I'm going to take this out of the yarn feeder just like what we did when we did our panels. And I'm going to knit the first one, rib the second. Knit, rib, knit, rib, knit, rib. Let me put this back in. And I'm going to rib down 25 rows on every second needle. Maybe I'll come back when I start that and guide you along if you need it. But it's the same as what we did on our flat panel. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here till I have 25 rows. I just finished 25 rounds. Now we're going to begin our ribbing. So I'm going to open my latch. Make sure you close it. We're going to finish knitting these 2 in the last row that we did. Then I'm going to knit this first one. Pop my yarn between those 2 little red teeth so it holds that loop. I'm going to wrap this around my counter. I'm going to take this loop off the second needle and count down 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 24, and don't let go of that loop. 25, I'm going to rib up all 25 stitches. Same thing you do on the panel, just in case it confuses some of you because it's a different mode. We're in circular. Well, we were in circular when we did our panels, but you know what I mean. I will stay with you just for this one and to set up the next one. I'm going to take that bar out from underneath the dividers. I'm going to work it. Then I'm going to put them both underneath the divider, lift up and over. Take that out, go under the divider, back up just a little bit, knit the row that we just purled, knit the next one into the center of those 2 red teeth around my counter, rib the next one, and we're going to rib every second needle all the way around. When you get that done, I'll see you back. I have it done. I've got all my ribbing all the way around done. I've got it underneath my yarn, underneath that divider and into the yarn feeder it goes. But I'm going to keep knitting until my counter says I have done 90 rows. So that was 26 rows, 25 for the ribbing, 1 for going around to rib it. And so 64 more rows is what I'm going to do until I get to row 90. All right, I'll see you when I get there. Okay, just as we clipped up our piece when we did flat panels, we have to do the same for our tubes because of the same reason. We don't want the slack coming and then possibly that coming off the loop coming off the red teeth, but it also, the tighter that it is, it helps your machine knit better. So we're going to pick this up. We're going to roll it into a donut and we're going to keep going. And every once in a while, as it gets lower, you keep rolling. Okay, I'll see you at row 90. Having finished the 90 rows, I'm going to cut my tail. Open my latch, pop it in the center between the last white and the first black. Make sure it goes between those 2 because we still have to finish knitting those 2. We're going to add our waste yarn. And we're going to knit as many rows as you're comfortable with. I'm going to do 7. At this point, we're going to cut off a tail that's long enough to go around our barrel 1.5 to 2 times. We're going to open the latch. We're going to pop that between the last white and the first black. We're going to grab our needle and we're going to cast off. Same way we did our other pieces, except for in the circle. So we're going to go around. As soon as that needle drops down, this loop is available to be taken off. And we're going to remove every stitch. Put your finger over the next one if you're scared it's going to pop up before you pull through. Until you have a bit of slack on there, it's a good idea to do that. And put my finger on there, pull through. And we're going to keep going around. If that needle is holding the next one, then you just have to pull it through. Don't have to put your finger anywhere. Now we have enough slack that we can take quite a bit. All right, go ahead, remove all your stitches and I'll meet you back. All right, so we have our sleeves done. We've, of course, gonna make 2 of them. And I've already tightened up my end and you can see how beautiful it looks. I've done it on both. As a matter of fact, one of the sleeves is already attached to my sweater. And I did that intentionally because I wanted to show you on a piece of yarn that doesn't have the flex. And I showed you how to tighten the end here on the sweater, and it was a flat panel, but I thought I'm going to show you with a different yarn. Maybe that'll help some of you to see a little bit better. Oops. So this is the end of my work. This is the beginning of our work. This is where we cast on. Just ignore all that. This is where we cast on. So it's easier if you have it facing you. So have the end of your work down there and have it facing you like this. And here's where our tail is. From where we started, let's trail that up to the, here it is, okay? And so when you have that tail, you know that we've started here and we've gone around, and this is where, no, we cast it on here and we went around this way, and this is where we ended. So we want to go from the end all the way around to the beginning. Very easy to do. You're going to just pull up. Now, if I pull on that a little bit, this is that last loop we're going to tighten. So I'm going to go over to the left. Just roll it up, roll up the top there until you find the big loop. And then pull on that big loop. There's not going to be much on the first couple. Then you're going to roll it up. You're going to go to the next one. And you're going to pull on it. Oops. There's not much on that one either. And then I'm going to go to the next one. See, now you can see it coming. And I'm going to roll that up. And this big loop right here is the one you pull on. Roll it up. Don't make a mistake and think it's this one, because if I pull on that one, it's the second row. You have to roll it up, get that very top one. So that very first loop is one you're going to pull. So it's easy to find. There we go. And I'm pulling it. And here it is coming at a bit of an angle there, but that's the one. And I'm going to pull it up. Go to the next one and tighten. And the next one and tighten. I find it nicer to do it with a needle, but you can just do it with your fingers too. Oops, see, I didn't pull it all the way up. Roll it all the way up and tighten. So if you pull on something and it doesn't easily come, don't pull any further. Just stop and make sure you've got the right one. All right. And so then I'm going to pull on that. I'm going to go to the next one. You can see I'm using my index finger to guide me to the next one. I'm just unfolding it, rolling it up just like that. And then I can see that big loop and I pull it. I think it's much easier for you to see with this yarn than on that fuzzy yarn. So there we go. Pulling it and pulling it. And my slack is getting much, much longer. There we go. Roll it up and pull. Roll it up and pull. And here's where my end is, right? Roll it up and pull. I should be able to pull my tail. And voila, you have tightened your stitch. Now I cast on really, really loosely on this one. And I could have tightened it a little bit tighter as I was showing you, but that's how you tighten it. You find the very top loop. What a mess I made of this second row. But that's okay. The idea was to show you the top row. And so you're going to do that. You're going to pull those loops. And the matter of fact is I should have pulled them tighter, but I can, if you find that you get to the end and it's not tight enough, you just start over. Put it this way. go back in. It's going to be harder to find though. I'll start over here. I'm going to pull up, and I'm going to pull up, and I'm going to pull up, and I'm going to make it tighter. And I'm going to go around, and then it'll be much neater. See, that's already much neater. I was doing it way too loose for the sake of showing you how to do it, but you're going to pull it so that it's nice and snug and it looks great. And you're going to do that all the way around, and then you've got your long tail to just put on your needle and tie off. I'm not going to, because I'm going to unravel this and I can use it for waste yarn. And you're going to tie a knot and hide your ends. That's how you're going to do it on your sleeves of your sweater. And it's going to be beautiful looking like that. See all the fuzzies there? It would have been hard for you to see. And my second one, let's move that aside. I already attached, and look how beautiful it is. So we're going to do that next. All right, so I'm going to just go to this other side here. We need our right side showing. Here I know where my center is at the top because I have that seam running across. I'm going to take my sleeve. Here's where we need to have some stitch markers, friends. So grab some stitch markers. We are going to mark our first and our last. So I'm going to take my stitch marker. I'm going to use closable ones. Where your waste yarn is coming out, that loop that it's going through, that's where you're going to put this stitch marker, your first stitch marker. You're going to take your second one. When you go to the left, this yarn loop here that's attached to your tail, just like that, you're going to put your stitch marker there. Now, I use my 46 needle machine for my sleeves so that I could have them a little bit narrower. So I know that there are 46 loops all around, 46 stitches. I'm going to take my, I'm going to count from this first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. I'm going to put a stitch marker, oops, in 23. And I'm going to put a stitch marker in 24. Let me grab one more. In stitch 24. This is going to help us to make sure our sleeve is put on evenly. All right, so from there, we're going to grab our needle, and we need a long piece of yarn. I'm going to attach one to my needle. We're going to position our top of our work where we put the first two stitch markers, and we're going to take the one that's up on top here, the closest one. This is red one. This is the one that we first marked. We're going to line it up with the top of our shoulder right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to attach it. I'm going to go into that stitch, pull through. We're going to do the Kitchener stitch here. Pull through, and I'm going to attach it up at the corner here, or I mean up at the edge here, just like that. It's a little tricky to get started, but once you're started, you sail through it, and it's just so much fun. And we're going to, I need a bigger table. Where is it? That's okay. So stay with me. Here's the one that we went through. We attached it. We're going to go do the Kitchener stitch by going into the center and then grab the second one and come back out. You see the V stitch there? When you fold it in half, it's like going right across. I have a extensive training video on how to do the Kitchener stitch on my techniques playlist. Please go and look for that, because I'm not going to make this into a long Kitchener stitch teaching video, because I have that already, and it'll just take up too much time. So that's, oh my goodness, you guys, this yarn is so slippery and my table is so small, so bear with me. I'm going to get these yarn tails tucked out of the way here. But if you need to have a slower version of the Kitchener stitch, you go ahead and look for that. But I am going to count as I do this. So that's 1. This is the second stitch. I'm going to go up to the top of my sleeve here. And coming along the side here, I'm going to pick up as though we're doing the mattress stitch. All right. So I'm going to go into that first stitch, and I'm going to pick up 2 bars and come out. We've already done the mattress stitch. So you know that, but that's part of how you attach when you're doing the Kitchener stitch here. This part is the Kitchener stitch. And I'm going to, here's the one I came out, so that's number 2. So I'm going to go in and then back out and pick up that stitch. And until you get partway down here, these tails are going to just give us havoc. I can tell that already because everything's so staticky. And let me take care of this. I'll be right back. There we go. I tucked all my tails in underneath there. Now I could have edited that out of the video, but I want you to see that it's not, you know, sometimes you struggle and you think, oh, I can't get it like she does. But, you know, I struggle sometimes too. And I want you to see that it's not always easy to get yourself in a position where it just sails through. But you know what? That's part of crafting. It's part of sewing. It's part of knitting. It's part of what we do. So we got to take the good with the frustrating with the good. Okay. So now I've done 3 stitches here. I'm going to go in where I came out here, and I'm going to go pick up 1 bar and 2 bars. And I'm going to pull. We cannot pull this like when we did the mattress stitch on our seams and we did a large section and pulled it. We cannot do that with the Kitchener stitch. So you have to make it the tension that you want it as you go, as you're doing it. So I'm going to go back into stitch 3 and up, out of stitch 4. Back in where I came out here, pick up 2 bars and pull that to the tension that I want it to be. I'm going to go back into 4, pick up 5, pick up 2 bars here, pull through, go into 5, pick up 6, pull it out, go over here, go in where I came out, pick up 2 bars, 1, 2, go in where you came out, pick up the next one, pull through, make that tension nice, go in where you came out here, pick up 2. Now this one I'm going closer to the sleeve. Like when I did the joining of the 2 panels together, I went 2 rows over, and I did make a mention in the video afterwards that after, you know, the sweater was completed in that section, I thought maybe I shouldn't have done that. I should have only gone over 1. I do like how the seam looks. I'll show you again. I do like how smooth this looks, and I think it's fine, but I could have actually just picked up on the first row, and I did not. So anyways, you live and you learn. Like I said, either way, it's not wrong. Either way works. So now I'm going to take this stitch that I had worked before and then take the next one. You do not want to miss one of these loops, because then when you take your waste yarn off, I think it's time to buy a bigger table. When you take your waste yarn off, then that row will unravel. So I'm going to pick up 2, pull that snug. I'm going to take this one where I left off. This one's already been worked the one time. I'm going to go back in and then out. And again, if I fold that up, it's like a V-stitch like that, and you just go across. That's another visual for you. Pick up 2. Pull that tension. I can bend that over to see that V-stitch. Here's the last one I worked. I'm going to go right across. That's basically how that works. I'm going to go in where I came out. I'm going to pick up 2. And I'm going to continue until I get to this first stitch marker. All right, because this is the first half I want it on the front side of my piece, and then I want the other half on the back side, so that our sleeve is evenly attached on the front and on the back. So I'm going to keep going in this same fashion until I get to my first stitch marker. All right, I'll see you when I get there. I made it down to the first stitch marker. And another thing to note, when you get your second sleeve on, when you're working on your second sleeve, you want to make sure that you're coming down, that you're lining it up the same as you did your first one. So if you're way up here, then you know you haven't taken the stitches correctly on the edge here in the same amount as you did with this one. So sometimes you have to rip it out a little bit, go back a little bit, and then maybe take a couple extra stitches and spread them out just a little bit. You want to make sure that you're ending on the same in the same place or very close to the same place. So now that that side is done, all I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this off a little shorter, and I'm going to flip it around to this side, and we're going to do the same thing, except for I'm going in reverse here. So I'm going to pick up my shoulder here, pick up this first stitch, and then we're going to begin our patterning. Let me tuck that under there because it'll give me stress if I don't. So what we're going to do here on this side is we're going to go back in where you came out. You're going to pick up 2 bars. And this time, let's just take the stitch marker out. I think it'd be easier. This time, this is the first stitch that we went into. Now, if you turn it, your point of your V is going away from you, and then it's like going across, just like that. Let me just get a few stitches in here. And then I'm going to come in where I went out here. I'm going to pick up 1, 2, pull that tight, and then here's the stitch we came out of. You go down into the center and then back out, and you can see that's the stitch with the point of the V away from you this time. And you go in and you're going to repeat your process, picking up 2. If I want to bend that over to look like a stitch and then go straight across, if that helps you to see the visual, that's what you do. You pick up 2. There we go. You go down into the center and then back out. Always going into the last one that you worked. And then you pull snug, but not really tight. You want to have a nice tension, even with the rest of your project. I'm going to work that down till I get to this next stitch marker, making sure that I'm keeping an eye on where I'm going here so that I end in the same place that I ended on the inside of my last one, which is the same place from the front side, okay? Keep going. I'll meet you when you get to your stitch marker. Have fun, friends. I'm just coming up to the last stitch here into that stitch marker, and I've just completed them all. I can now take out my stitch markers that are here. This first loop was held with this other strand that we started with. I'm going to just remove this. I'm going to take these 2 and I'm going to tie a firm knot. Now those first and the last stitch are joined. I'm going to do one more just because. Then I'll hide that tail. If this one is long enough, then we can use it to sew down the seams, but it's probably not, and I don't like working with a yarn that's that long, so I have to add mine anyway, so I'm just going to cut that off. I'm going to hide these tails into my work here, just into that seam that we created. But let's take off our waist yarn first. We're going to go ahead and we're going to find where the end is that I tucked in. Where are you? It's coming apart already. Oh my goodness, where is the end? Well, it's coming apart, so there it is. So I'm going to roll this up. I'm going to pinch a stitch and I'm going to pull that top row out. Mine started to come out for some reason, all the jostling. Roll it up, find that very top row, pinch the stitch, and pull out that top row. We've done this already in the project. And keep going around. Once you get the first row out, you can then just take the whole thing off. There we go. So then I'm going to wrap that around. Unwind the whole thing and remove it. Generally, I roll it into a ball as I go along, but for the sake of getting it done quicker for you, I'm going to just do it this way. And you pull set that aside. I'll wind that again later because I'm going to use it. And there we go. We've attached our sleeve and it looks brilliant. Looks great. I'm going to clean up my workstation here. I'm going to take my tails, I'm going to hide them, and then we are going to put another piece of yarn onto our needle that goes the length and a little bit more of our project here, and we're going to just sew up the side. All right, friends, how exciting is this? Almost done. Taking our yarn and our needle, we're going to pick up 2 bars. This is not unfamiliar to you. Go in here, go right up to where our sleeve is. We're going to pick up 2, and I'm going close to the edge here, taking the closest edge that I can. In where I came out, pick up 2. In where I came out, pick up 2. In where I came out, pick up 2. And we are going to do this all the way down as we did our middle seams on the front and the back. We're going to tie off where we get our color change at the top here and there, continue on down and continue on down. And when I get to the ribbing section, I will meet you back. I'm at the ribbing. In fact, I've already started it and I just wanted you to see what it looks like. You do the same thing. You know where your row is. These bars here are, if you spread this apart, this is the underside. This is the row that you're not working on. This is the other side. We're going to do the row that you can see here. And so I'm just, except for I'm taking this very end one here. I'm just doing the same thing, picking up 2 and going in and picking up 2 all the way down. And when I get to the end, I'm going to tie a knot, hide my end, and friends, we've made a sweater. Now this is your basic sweater, my basic sweater. I have plans to add to it. I don't have room to do it on this particular video. I want to show you the basics, but I'm coming up with another video that I'm going to add to this particular one. And I hope to get that out soon too. And so maybe when I post this one, you'll see that one. I don't know. If you don't, then watch for it. Oop, I might have pulled that a little too tight. Then watch for it. And it's exciting for me because I think that I have an idea of what I can do with this sweater that's going to make it even more special. So there you go. There's a little plug. You'll see the same sweater, just done in a different way. Just something added to it. And I don't want to tell you. I want it to be a surprise. So you'll have to keep watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do it. Hit that little notification bell and be notified when I have patterns that come out. I love having you as a part of my channel community. You guys, you know, although I've said this before, I haven't seen your faces. I feel like I know so many of you, and we have formed such a great friendship in this community, not only on YouTube, but under the comments in YouTube, because I see a lot of the same people commenting. But also in my Facebook group. So if you're not part of that, do come on over and join that group. We have just completed our oversized, beautiful, cozy, bulky sweater, and I'm in love. I got to hide this tail. This is where we started our seam. I'm going to make a knot and then hide it. But there you go, friends. I'm going to go put it on and you're going to see what it looks like. So excited. And here it is. We've completed our sweater. Now I have it with the necklace on, but you know what? You want to wear it with a pair of sweatpants or just with your jeans, and you just want to throw on a nice bulky sweater and go out. This is your sweater, and this is the yarn of choice. I even like it actually with the sleeves down, even though it's long. I like how that looks. And so, or you can do it halfway or all the way to make it wider. You be you. But friends, I love how it turned out. I'm very, very, very happy with it. So I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Thanks for joining me. Be prepared for the next tutorial that I'm going to take this sweater and add to it. Don't forget to watch for that as well. All right, so thanks again for joining me. I hope that you've had fun. I can't wait to see your sweaters. Please show me in my Facebook group. All right, friends, take care. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.